Okay, we are live, and I have Ryan Diener in the house, and this is going to be an exciting show. We're going to talk about health, fitness, all kinds of good things. We're going to talk about your business, how it got started, how long you've been doing it, your background, the whole 9 yards. We're going to try to fit all this into. Are you here for an hour?
I'm here for exactly an hour.
Exactly an hour. There you go, folks. 5 to 6 o'clock Eastern time. And if you're watching any other time, it is a recorded show. If you're going to watch live, hop in the comments and do ask questions. And let's show your website real quick before I forget. So there it is. It's HHAMD.com. Reclaim your health, folks. That's what you got to do. Hey, it's very important. When we're young, we don't think about this stuff as much, do we? But we probably should, even when we're younger. And we'll talk about that when people should get serious about their health.
Sure.
And then at different age groups, what they have to focus on and all those kinds of things. But let's start with your background. How did you get started? And we do have a comment here. Craig making moves. Well, there you go. Triforce Rich in the house. Well, thank you very much. And if you have any health-related questions, this is the guy. And we do talk about health a little bit on the channel anyway. I think it's important. So let's go all the way back. How did you get started in the business? What was your background before you got started in the business, and how did you get started?
Yeah, sure. Happy to be here, and thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah.
Acupuncture is not the common business that young man of my background typically goes into, right?
Okay.
So how do you end up in a field like this? Well, so I started as a young person interested in a lot of sports, playing a lot of sports, and then of course you hit certain ages where you start getting injuries.
Now, what was your sport of choice?
So I played baseball was probably, I would say, probably my best sport. Okay. I played, I went to a small high school, so as small as I am, I also played football and I wrestled.
Okay.
So,
yeah, you look like a wrestler.
Yeah.
That stocky look.
Yeah, it was, so I always was playing sports where, you would just get injured. It's just, it's inevitable. It's the way that we are these days. And now it's often even worse because so many kids are playing one sport all year round. So they're not even getting different physical movements and trying different things. But, so like everybody that started with sports, I would get injured, go to physical therapy, go to, get some rehab, and then go back and play. So over the years, I just got interested in health. I just got interested in, well, how does this work?
Your own aches and pains triggered this.
Often you see that in the health and wellness field. Your own issues seem to bring you into a particular field, right? Yeah. So I, fast forward to undergraduate school, and I was a biology major. I was a pre-med major.
Okay.
But there was always something missing for me. And the reason is, I grew up in a middle-class family in Baltimore, pretty run-of-the-mill, good family, good upbringing, good parents. Well, we had a black sheep in our family, which was my aunt. And my aunt was into astrology and tarot and meditation and channeling and all kinds of psychic stuff and things that as a young person, really blow your mind open, and this was to the chagrin of my parents and the rest of the family, of course. But I mean, God bless them. They let me hang out with her, and they gave me the freedom to do so. And for whatever reason, I just was enamored by all of that kind of new age philosophy, and at 12, 13, 14 years old, that stuff is really interesting. You didn't grow up with it. It's totally different. It's outside of what your parents taught you. So it kind of was that little bit of rebelliousness that made things interesting.
Yeah.
So she taught me to meditate at about 14 years old. That was the first time I learned how to kind of follow that particular path. And I think that just doing some of these things with her over the years, when you then go into a field like biology or allopathic medicine, it just feels very confining. It felt very closed off to me. And no offense to anybody in the medical field, I've immense respect for doctors, nurses, everybody that is working in that field. We work with tons of people in that field. And so this is not, it just was my own personal kind of inner sense around it.
You felt like there were other other avenues and other solutions for some problems.
That's
and that's
right.
where the alternative
That's right.
term comes in.
And that's where the alternative term comes in, but it's also a question of what are those other things? You know, how do you even go in that direction? What would propel you to even look? I never had acupuncture growing up. Nobody in my family had acupuncture growing up except for the black sheep, my aunt. and
well, you know, they say if you think there's not crazy in your family, it's probably you.
That's it.
Right?
That's
right?
it.
So it was, in your case, it was you and your aunt.
That's right. That's right. We really took advantage of the crazy. That's for sure. And so, you know, finishing as I was getting to the end of that pre-med degree, I just was kind of seeking something else. I was looking for something within that related realm, but I didn't know what to do. So I did a physical therapy internship, and I did an internship with a podiatrist, and I did an internship with a chiropractor, and nothing was grabbing me. For whatever reason, nothing was grabbing me. And look, I had the privilege at that point to be able to look, to have the time, and it's a beautiful thing to have that benefit and that privilege to do those things. I was working in restaurants, you know, keeping myself afloat, waiting tables, bartending, whatever it took to just kind of keep the bills paid while I was trying to figure this out. And my aunt gave me a book on acupuncture. I remember it to this day. I remember what it looks like. I remember the name of the book. It was the first book. I never even heard of acupuncture, didn't know anything about it. And I read the thing cover to cover in 2 days. I was just smitten by the philosophy, the holistic approach, looking at the mind-body connection, how you brought, you know, everything from physical ailments to genetics to, you know, spiritual beliefs into one sphere and said, okay, what's the big picture here? And how do you bring it all together?
Okay, so hold that thought. We got a bunch of comments. Let me go through these real quick here. And let's see here. How come that's not showing? Okay. Well, should show on the screen, but it didn't. Okay, I'm going to read some comments. Oh, there it is. I had a little delay. I've never had a delay before. So Brief Fit Dance says, hi, Mr. Diener. Nice to meet you. Okay. And Kyle is in the house. It looks like we're getting a delay on the comments popping up. So Kyle's in the house. Triforce Rich is in the house. And Brief Fit Dance says, cool story. And Tom Chamberlain says, great to have a special guest. Okay, there you go. Any questions about acupuncture and all of this good stuff? Put them up on here, and we will get to it. And I think that's it. Let's see. I don't know why there's a delay here, but we'll let this one go up, and then we'll. Okay, there we go. All right. So now you read the book, cover to cover.
Yeah.
And were you just like, my goodness, this is it? Or did it take a little while, or did you have to, where you still had questions or whatever? How much did you jump down the rabbit hole, and how quick?
I immediately jumped. Okay. I was, you know, I love the philosophy so much. It spoke to me in such a way that I went home and I started, this was in the early days of the internet. This was, let me think here, about 1998.
Okay.
So,
okay.
So we were on our, you know, dial-up internet, and I was waiting for everything to come up. At that point, I thought it was fast, but now we know otherwise. And I started looking at schools right then and there. And I just, you know, did a little bit of research, visited some schools. And then I decided that I was going to wait. I was going to travel for a year. I was going to live in another country. I was going to just let all this sink in, because it was pretty raw. It was pretty fresh. And when I told my mom that I was going to go into acupuncture, she immediately broke into tears. What are you throwing your life away for? I don't even know what this is. You know, you can't do this. You know, good Jewish boys don't go into acupuncture. You know, all the typical stuff. Yeah. And now she's one of our biggest fans.
Did you tell her you wanted to experiment on her too?
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you, she's a huge supporter now, and has had incredible experiences as a patient, you know, of acupuncture. And so it's been a beautiful thing to see that turn around too. Sometimes it's just, we're all scared of things when they're new and they're unknown, and they're not something that you have any context for. Of course, you're going to be uncomfortable with it. We see patients like that all the time, where even after their friend told them, hey, this is great, but it was new for them, and they come in and it's a little scary because it's just so different, and nobody wants to do something that they don't feel comfortable with.
So we've seen the little. I might have a little picture here that I can pull up.
Mm-hmm.
Let me. Is it? Yeah, this one has one of the pictures in there. Somehow we're getting a delay, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, the tiny little now it's up on the screen. Those tiny little pins that you stick in.
Yeah.
Do they go in and like touch some kind of nerve or something to eliminate a pain point, or what are you trying to achieve with those pins?
Yeah, you know, if you think about your body's natural healing process, your body responds in a way that stimulates the immune system when it believes that there is something that it needs to repair, right? So those tiny little pins, when they go into your body, they're stimulating a response.
Okay.
There's no medicine on the pins. There's no, we're not touching any nerve.
Okay.
We're stimulating the nervous system's reaction to something that is coming in as a quote unquote invader, right?
Okay.
Now that response, because these pins are surgical stainless steel, there's nothing on them, there's nothing that they can do that can harm you. All we're actually doing is encouraging your body to respond with a healing response. So if you have a chronic issue, if you have something that's been bothering you for a long time and your body has essentially mounted a response to it, failed, and now has kind of held it in a particular way in your body, it needs some encouragement to kind of reactivate that healing process. And we need some encouragement to do it in a way that might be a little bit different or stimulate different nerve reactions than what happened the first time. And so that's really what we're doing. We're putting those tiny little pins in at specific locations. So the locations are important because they stimulate different aspects. So I can't just
get a couple dozen pins and just start.
Oh, you can.
You
can. I'd love to see it.
So the self-treatment is not a good idea with these.
Untrained self-treatment is definitely not what we recommend.
Well, that's amazing that it works like that. And I've heard people say, now I've never had it done. I do have sometimes where I have some lower back pain from time to time. Knock on wood, it hasn't been bad the last couple of years. But I've heard people say that they get pretty much immediate results. I mean, they get a treatment and they feel better almost immediate. Now, is that just psychological, or is it, can it trigger something quickly, or does it take time for your body to say, okay, now I've got to deal with this? Or is it all of the above?
It's all of the above. It really depends on the situation. So, you know, you have somebody that's had something for 10 years, you know, a motor vehicle accident 10 years ago, got whiplash. I felt fine afterwards. I thought everything was good. And then my neck started to bother me. And it's been bothering me ever since. Well, you're not going to take somebody that's had 10 years of pain and in one treatment make it go away. But what you can do is you can help them feel a little bit better and start to lay groundwork. It creates a compounding effect. So you're going to go in, you create a little bit of a release in that area. And not only that, but you're laying the groundwork for the body to be reset, you know? And so over time, so in that situation, that treatment plan might be 3 to 6 months. I mean, it could be a long one because this person's had the issue for 10 years. Somebody else might come in and they have situational anxiety. You know, they had a relative come in that really said something that just really got under their skin. They haven't been able to get their heart rate down since. That can be immediate because it's something that came on relatively recently. It's something that is a immediate nervous system reaction. And it's something that we can then have a pretty quick response to in a situation like that. So really it depends on the situation, depends on the individual, depends on your age. So if you're younger, clearly, you know, your body's a little more resilient. It's going to take signaling a lot faster than someone who is older or has had a condition for a much longer period of time. So that's part of the art of figuring this out, and the medicine is
and sometimes
really being able to determine.
They might need multiple treatments.
Yeah, more often than not. More often than not. Look, the people that we see usually have tried some other form of Western medicine first. We're not the first stop. You know, what should have, you know.
By the way, Brianna says added to the bucket list acupuncture.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let us know if you need any help finding a good person. We'll get you set up.
I think she wants to be a guinea pig.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. you know, more often than not, it's a frequency. There is some frequency involved. You know,
Okay.
it's retraining the way that your internal mechanisms are working. It's
Mhm.
just like if you went to the gym and you went once,
Mhm.
you know, you might feel some exhilaration afterwards.
Mhm.
You might be sore afterwards, but it's not going to change the way you look in the mirror.
Okay.
It's not going to change necessarily the way that how healthy you are by going one time. But if you then piggyback, you know, and you go 2, 3, 4 times a week and you do that for a couple of months, you're going to see some real change.
So is this something that if somebody goes in for a treatment of acupuncture, you kind of go over a plan, and then they might be coming in there a couple times a week for several weeks?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, here's the reality is most people are looking for a way to improve their health, right? I mean, that's what most people are looking for. What we do is we tailor a care plan that includes acupuncture, potentially massage, some nutrition, some supplements that enhance your body's ability to heal naturally so that essentially your health never limits your life. That's really what we're trying to do. We don't want your health to limit your life, but we also have to create a plan to get you there. Just like anything in life, we have to follow the steps. We have to follow the map. We have to reconfigure. Oh, I've been going this way every day and I keep running into the mud and my tires keep getting stuck. Well, okay, now we have to reconfigure that. And sometimes that takes a little thought, takes a little effort to get to that other place.
Okay, so we have a couple more questions here. Let's see here. Are we going to get a video of Craig getting treatment? I don't know about that one. We'll see about that one.
Got some pins in the car, Craig.
And does it work well for tennis elbow? Says Tom.
Yeah, it does. It does. Look, and again, Tom, you know, one of the things that we always tell people is that nothing works for everything, right? And nothing works for every individual. So we see a lot of tennis elbow. I'm sure any physical therapist would tell you they see a lot of tennis elbow. I'm sure that many massage therapists would tell you that they see a lot of tennis elbow. Why does physio work for you, acupuncture work for Tom, you know, something else work for someone else? That's still a kind of an unknown area. We don't know, to be honest with you. What I can tell you is that things that are inflammatory, you know, when you're talking about tendonitis, which is what tennis elbow is, respond incredibly well to acupuncture, and it's been well documented and scientifically
What would you
shown.
say on average is your success rate with tennis elbow? If you have 10 people come in, how many are going to have a successful result?
8.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a few people that won't.
Really good.
But it's one of those things that, I mean, we've had recent case. I had a guy who's had tennis elbow for over 2 years consistently. So at that point, it becomes chronic. Now it becomes tendinosis, most likely, instead of tendonitis. It's really in there. And I just told him flat out, look, we're going to need to treat this for a number of months. You can't just, you know, we have to give it 3 months. But even that,
you were able to do it over a period of time?
He's in the process of no surgery. He's in the process of renovating his entire basement right now. He's nailing his own boards to the wall. He's doing his own drywall. He's doing his own flooring. He's got a hammer in his hand all day, you know, and this is after working all day. So yeah, he's thrilled, and we're happy to help him.
Question from Derek: what is the difference from acupuncture and acupressure?
Yeah, good question, Derek. You know, acupressure means that you're taking essentially your hand, your thumb, or or your hand, and you're pressing into a point. You're giving it some pressure, and usually there are different techniques that you can do with this kind of pressure. You can do that also? I don't.
Okay.
There is someone in our Boonesboro office that does a form of acupressure called Qigong Meridian.
I learned something. I didn't know you had 2 offices.
Yeah. We just this is brand new. We just opened location
Breaking
number
news,
2
folks.
a couple weeks ago. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're now in
Boonesboro. That's Washington County.
That is.
So I'll add you to WashingtonCounty.com.
Great.
No additional charge.
I appreciate that.
We'll get you covered.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have your people send over the information for that office.
You got it.
And I'll get it on there.
You got it. It's a great group of people over there.
So, okay, so we got that. And then here's a follow-up.
Acupressure. So is the pressing. Acupuncture means you're going to use a pin in that same spot. And most often you would retain that, meaning I would put it in I would leave, let's say we use 10 points in your body. We would leave those in for somewhere between 15 to 30 minutes, depending on what we're trying to accomplish. I'll usually step out of the room, give you a little call bell during that time. And your body, as it relaxes, has an easier time with the signals that we're trying to accomplish. So we give you some time for your body to relax during the treatment.
So I think you already answered this. Together with other treatments, you kind of already mentioned acupuncture together with massage and some nutrition things and other issues.
But to Tim's question, you know, something like physio is definitely something that we often combine. So when you go to a physio or you go to a physical therapist and they're really good at giving you the right exercises, that's their specialty, right? Their specialty is which exercises should I use to help strengthen the muscles around that elbow. And what our specialty is in helping to truly repair the elbow itself. And so doing those things in conjunction with each other is fantastic.
So folks, you can always remember that you can find them at Frederick.com. That's the health medical section. And they are literally number 2 right there. Everybody was first come, first listed. And so you guys have been on Frederick.com a long time.
That's right.
Only Visions was on longer than you. And they just sold that place. Well, they're closing it up and they just got it released. So you may bump up.
Sounds great.
You may be up to the top. So let's see. We covered the acupuncture pretty well. Anything else on acupuncture before we go on to the next segment of what you do there?
No, I mean, you know, look, we could probably talk about acupuncture for hours and hours, and I would love it. But you know, I think that gives everybody a good foundation.
Put any questions in the chat. Anything that you think that we haven't covered on acupuncture. Well, let's talk briefly about cost. People are always worried about costs of healthcare.
Yep.
And so that's the elephant in the room, right? Yep. And I know you can't give specifics, but let's say somebody came in there for some acupuncture treatment and they were getting treated a couple times a week for 3 weeks or something. What would be typical the length of time? Let's start there. What I know, let's take an average.
Yeah.
You know, how many treatments a week for how many weeks would be kind of an average treatment schedule?
I would say an average treatment plan, depending on condition, is going to be somewhere in the 12 to 20 range. That would be a pretty
12
average.
to 20 treatments. And of that, would that be like 2 a week?
Usually at the beginning, and again, it just depends on severity and length of time. It could be anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
And then, you know, think of it like when you go to a physical therapist. Usually when you go to a physical therapist, you're going 3 times a week for a couple, 2-3 weeks.
And then it
drops
off.
down to 2, then it drops down to 1. Very similar process.
Okay.
Very similar process.
All right. And so that run of treatments, what would that roughly cost a patient?
So again, depends.
Okay.
So we accept all of the local major healthcare. So our health insurances. So acupuncture started getting covered for by health insurance about 15 years. Well, it was longer, but realistically, when we could start billing and it made sense, was about 15 years ago.
That's good news. That's good.
It's really good news, and we've been on that train relatively early since it started. We know a lot of people in the state board that work directly with Care First, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and some of the other companies. So we usually have a very good handle and a good sense of what's happening, what the trends are within the within the industry. Most of the plans that we check now cover acupuncture. Now, how much do they cover it? Great question. It depends.
Okay.
Some plans we see they will cover 10 treatments a year. Some plans are 24 treatments a year. Some are 50 a year. Some are unlimited. Okay. So it really is so there's such a low consistency of standard.
Now, if somebody wasn't covered, or let's say they have a real high deductible or whatever, do you have special plans for people that are cash
customers?
We do. Because I know I had Thermont Smiles in here, and she has a special package where people pay an annual fee and they get 2 checkups a year and 2 cleanings, and it's a great deal.
Yeah.
And then they get discounts on other things, like if they buy a crown or whatever, they get a discount.
Yeah.
Do you have a similar package where people that are underinsured or uninsured can get a good deal?
We do. So we really try and work with people. We know
Mm-hmm.
that this is something that for a lot of people is a new thing. It's something that they're trying for the first time. We also know that your health is one of your most important investments. When we are thinking about what really costs money long term, your healthcare is one of the most expensive things that you spend money on. So in the short term, if you can spend a little bit more to really get reset at a point where you're not compounding in the wrong direction, it can make a huge difference. And so this all becomes a relative expense, of course. Now, what we do is, if you have insurance, then of course you're covered with your copay, and we set up a plan. It might be, let's say 12, 15 sessions. You might have your $30 copay. And, if you have a high deductible, then it will go towards your deductible, but we have our build rate that we have for that. And if you decide to self-pay, then we have preset care plans that are 10, 20, 30 treatments. And you get essentially anywhere from a 15 to 25% discount off of our insurance build rate.
Excellent. Yeah. So you're working with folks.
Absolutely. As best we can.
And so let's see. I have pain in my wrist from riding a motorcycle every day. Am I doing permanent damage?
It's a great question. It's hard to know just from the question if that's the case or not. That said, if you notice that it's getting worse after you ride, then the likelihood is that it's having a negative effect, right? If most of the time when you do something and it gets worse, unless it's part of the healing process, you're adding more vibration to that already damaged tissue. And so that can cause a further breakdown of the tissue. Now, does that mean you can't ride a motorcycle forever? No, but it means we need to reset the body's capacity in that realm. You might need to take a little bit of a break, give us the opportunity to help heal that tissue, help improve the strength in the tendons, and then work your way back up, and so we see that all the time.
Okay. And then they're talking about a live demonstration. Yeah, we'll see about all that. We got to schedule Ryan back in for another show, I think.
We actually have a video on our website that shows a little bit about this. It's not on yet. It's actually a new video that we're going to be uploading in the next couple of days. So, anybody that wants to reach out, I'm happy to show you via video. I think Craig's a little nervous about it.
I tell a story of one. Brown's Liquor and Deli. It's a story I like to tell. The video's up on the Frederick County Facebook page. I think it has like 150,000 views or something. And if you look at that video, there are a ton of comments in there about, oh, I love the place. I go in and I get a sub, or I get a pizza or whatever. And then there's a whole bunch of comments, maybe half the comments. I've been driving by there for years and I had no idea what was going on in there.
Right.
See, 75% of her business is the deli.
Yeah.
Not the liquor.
Interesting.
And so they've been there like 70 years or something, right? And still a lot of people don't know what's going on in there. So this is the same thing with your place. I bet you there are a lot of people that don't know all the things you're doing in there.
This is why we recently just did this. We did a huge video campaign where we literally walk you through our office, show you what to expect when you come in, show you where the treatment rooms are, what to expect when you actually come in and are on the table. All of that is going to be uploaded. If you follow us on Facebook or you just go to our website at hhamd.com, you're going to see all those. And this way you can get a real feel for what to expect before making the commitment.
Good. Super. Okay. So do you go to China for training? Somebody's asking.
Yeah. Usually most acupuncture schools in the US have a program where you do kind of grand rounds, just like you would in a hospital, but you do it in China, in a Chinese hospital. The school that I went to did have that program. I was signed up for it. It was the year that SARS epidemic hit. Okay. And we actually had to cancel that trip. But many people do go to China and do some training there before coming in. There are about 55 accredited schools in the US. And so most of the Americans that you see, we trained here, we learned here. I had almost all Chinese professors in graduate school. And that's also an interesting component that a lot of people don't realize. Graduate school for Chinese medicine, if you're learning acupuncture and herbal medicine, and potentially some of the movement therapies, is a 4-year master's program. It's one of the longest master's programs that there is, and that's for all the reasons that you would expect. We want to make sure that we're giving you everything, that we know what kind of medications you're on, that they're not going to that they're not going to have a any kind of issue with the supplements that we might give you. We want to make sure that we're doing everything the right way, that the pins are in the right place, that they're at the right depth, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a long program, but it depends. But most schools have a kind of sister program where you go to China and spend some time there.
Cool. Now, which school did you go to?
I went to a school called Southwest Acupuncture College in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Santa Fe was hard to leave. Beautiful area.
Because the Triforce Rich says, what does Ryan think of the 002? Should he get a close look? He's talking about this watch. This is the SBGY002 Grand Seiko. This is Grand Seiko is a line that competes with Rolex. It's their high-end line. And Steve at Little Treasury Jewelers is where this came from. And he's over in Gambles, Maryland. He's a destination jeweler. And so they want you to take a look at the SBGY002, and they want your opinion on it. See, this is a deployant clasp.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay.
It looks like a
So and it fits kind of trimmed to the wrist. And then you notice that second hand. See how it doesn't click?
Yeah,
it just smooths around.
Oh,
it's called the spring drive. There's no battery in there, but there's a spring in there that releases the energy and then drives the second hand like that.
Okay, it's beautiful.
And so there you go. He said it's beautiful.
I like it. Nicely done.
Two thumbs up on the question from Triforce.
You just need to get that thing to read your heart rate and your sleep and all that.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a beautiful watch.
There you go. Okay, so let's see. Again, we're getting a little delay on the questions. This usually doesn't happen, by the way. When I think of acupuncture, I think of China. Do you have any Chinese? Okay, we already kind of talked about that. Does Ryan accept BTC, Bitcoin? Do you accept Bitcoin for payment?
We don't yet. It's definitely something that we're looking at.
On the roadmap.
It's on the roadmap for sure. It's definitely something that we think is kind of here to stay. And so
I can help you with that. And also, if you put it on your website that you accept it, you might get some destination customers that otherwise might not come because they want to spend their Bitcoin.
Sure.
And so it might pull some new customers
for
you.
For sure.
Let's see. And we're been about halfway through the show. Let's see. So if I wanted to go for one session, just experimenting, how much one session, Blue?
So again, what we would do.
Hey, if he mentions this show, will you give him a session on the house? If he flies into town, he's from out of town.
Oh yeah, for sure. If
you fly in, and
I'll treat you personally.
And this guy will take care of you. Okay?
Yeah, I'll treat you personally.
How's that, Blue? Serious question. Wait a minute now. These haven't all been serious questions.
Yeah.
Is there benefit to treating the glutes with acupuncture?
Is this a serious question? Like,
I don't know.
It depends. So let me answer that in a way that I'm going to make it a serious question. So glute pain is a common thing that we see. It's usually related to sciatic pain, nerve issues.
Sciatica is a you know what?
That's right.
That is not fun.
It's a true pain in the glute. Exactly right. And so, so when you, so I don't know if you were joking or not, but it is an actual condition that we see quite a bit. And, finding the right pathway that this pain is following
it goes down the leg, and my gosh.
The sciatic nerve follows three main pathways. One goes down the back of the leg, one goes down the side of the leg, and one wraps around towards the groin. And so depending on where the pain is and which kind of movement initiates the pain, that determines which line of points we might use.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So folks, take care of yourselves, Now let's get into that. Let's go to preventative. Let's talk about lifestyle things and things that people can do to maybe not have as many issues.
Love that. Yeah.
So why don't you start from for the younger folks, what they need to do to kind of not end up an old folk with a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I'll tell them one thing they can do right off the bat is stay away from the super loud music and shooting firearms without ear protection, because I've got a ringing in my ear, that thing constantly.
Yeah.
Because many years ago, I shot a 357 Magnum without any hearing protection.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so you do stupid things like that when you're young,
Sure.
right? And then you pay for it.
Right.
And so let's give some tips for folks that are younger, things they can do to take care of themselves, and maybe middle-aged, and then maybe the older folks.
Yeah, for sure. So the thing with younger people is that, to your point, you can shoot that 357 Magnum and it's loud and you feel it, you hear it in your ears, but it doesn't really do any immediate damage. So you don't think about it, and then you may go out and shoot that thing again. What you're not seeing is what's happening inside, right? Which is that you've now created almost a trauma, a mini trauma into that space. That mini trauma just sits there. You're young. All the other, auditory components around it compensate for that little mini trauma. But as we get older and some of the areas around it lose their vitality, now that trauma really means something. Now that trauma is a problem. So with young people, the most important thing you can do is have a mindset around your health. That's the biggest thing that I see with younger people.
Don't do the stupid stuff.
It's not, it's not doing the stupid stuff for sure, but it's also being interested. It's being interested in the future,
making it a priority.
Yeah, it's this relationship between the present moment and the future. And this is something that we talk about in everything from meditation to exercise to mindset. Is you have to constantly be almost like a lung expands and contracts. You want to look out to the future and then look at the present moment and what you're doing and enjoy it. And then look out to the future and what are you doing and how is it going to affect you in the future? And then come back to the present moment. And that process is really a beautiful thing for young people to engage with, to think about, to really give some space for, because it's not something that we commonly talk about in school. It's not something that any of the healthcare practitioners I know talk about. It really comes down to your mindset and the way that you see life as a young person, and more than anything.
So I think you could boil that down to bring in a little bit of long-term thinking into the short-term thinking.
For sure.
When we're young, it's short-term thinking most of the time, right? Bring a little bit of the long-term.
That's right.
Thinking in.
That's right.
Let's see. Brianna says, "Can I make an appointment?" Sure, absolutely. And by the way, if anybody wants to come in, I'm going to put a link here in the chat. If anybody wants to come in, because I want to show Ryan how we bring guests in. So if anybody wants to come in, I'm going to put the link in here. And let's see. If I perform at concerts with loud music, is there any harm to the ears too? I think so.
Same answer. Yeah, you really do using something as ear protection is really beneficial, even if it's small. The small buds,
the little ear plugs.
Anything that you can do to muffle that sound is really valuable. So
and so I'm lucky that I can still hear pretty good. Some people, when they get up to my age, I mean, they're like, "Huh? What'd you say?" All the time, right? I mean, so you can really do some damage,
right?
If you're not careful. Okay, so when they get to the middle age is what any different tips there?
Well, let me say one more thing about young people. The other thing that you can do as a young person is initiate habits. The martial arts teacher that my wife used to go with or study with, who has a great studio in Germantown. I'm not sure if he's still there. I think he's in Hagerstown now. Used to say, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes habit. And so what you practice as a young person become the habits that you utilize and that you can go to as a middle-aged and an older person. And the reason why that's so important is because the hardest step is the first one, right?
Okay.
The earlier you take that step and you incorporate exercise into your life, you incorporate drinking water into your life, you incorporate good sleep into your life.
By the way, the water should be at room temperature, right?
It's fantastic. Tangent, yes, but I love
That's
it.
what I was told. You shouldn't put ice in your in your water?
We're
It's
big supporters
better.
of room temperature water.
Okay.
Or hot, but cold
Yeah.
water is if you think about your body temperature is at 98.6 degrees, your stomach acid is actually operating at a couple degrees hotter than that. And now you're going to put something ice cold down into it. You know, what does that do to your digestive system? So,
Gotcha.
that's why we drink room temperature or warm water.
Yeah.
But, putting those habits into place at an early age and parents with your children, helping them to make it routine. So when you're doing exercise, bring your kids into it. We have, my son comes down, he works out with us for a few minutes and then he goes and reads a book or plays in the other room. But we encourage him to just, and then he gets a little bit older, gets more interested, does it a little bit longer. And before you know it, it's part of their routine. They see you do it. Now they're interested in doing it. Right. So practice makes habit. I love that quote.
So somebody says, Boozer says that Triforce Rich, he says he masks his physical pain with alcohol. I think a lot of people do that. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about alcohol. Let's talk about smoking cigarettes. Let's talk about other things that I would classify as self-destructive behavior. What can people curtail to head towards a healthier life?
Yeah, one of the things that we always encourage people to do is look at life through the lens of good, better, best. Right? If you're smoking 2 packs a day and you're having 6 drinks a day, and that's your lifestyle right now, for me to say to you, you need to cut all that out tomorrow may be true, but the reality of that process being encouraging is low.
Okay.
So what's your good, better, best? Your good is, what's your next goal? Or do you want to come off of these things? Is this of interest to you? Because if you're not interested, it doesn't matter what I tell you.
Yeah.
You have to care enough about that next step to desire to do things that are going to keep you healthy. And often we have to find things that are going to take those activities and fill in the gap.
Okay.
Smoking is a habitual
these are
process.
things that you do help people with, it sounds
Oh yeah,
like.
for sure. We have a stop smoking protocol that we work with people on. We've taken many people over the years off of cigarettes that have been interested. We have with alcohol, there's we don't really see a lot of alcoholics in our practice. Our practice is outpatient, and so we're not an inpatient clinic where you would see an alcoholic. But there are many acupuncturists that work in treatment centers, and there's a whole protocol, and it's an ear acupuncture protocol that's used for addictions. And so it's very commonly used. There's a really good one in Baltimore. We had a practitioner that worked in the local Frederick penitentiary for a couple of years with some of the inmates there, and would go in a couple times a week and do ear acupuncture on them. So it has some really good benefits from that perspective. But the best thing is, as a young person, to remember everything in moderation. A little bit of alcohol is not gonna be the worst thing in the world. But you want to make sure that you're balancing it out with really healthy activities.
So here's a comment. Maybe somebody should have made different decisions. I have a buddy who was shot multiple times after a crazy ex-wife thought he was cheating on her. He was. Okay. There's some bad decisions there. He married a crazy ex-wife and he was cheating on her. So those were 2 decisions right there that compounded.
Yeah.
He is in constant pain, and it is aggravating in social gatherings. Do you think you could help?
Yeah,
that sounds like that could be a major project. Yeah, he better relocate over to this area.
Yeah,
immediately.
Just like anything, those are things. Those are extreme cases, but they're things that, with enough interest, and if the person wants to get their do some things to help their body tissues repair, this is something that can help, and then just calm the acupuncture and massage are extremely calming.
Is there any danger losing your job to a robot that can perform acupuncture?
It's possible. Everything's
we
possible.
don't know what's going to happen in the future, right?
I have a low concern on that front. There's a lot of skill involved in figuring out what points to use and why, and connecting with human beings. And this is we're in a human to human business. Now that doesn't mean that there are a lot of human businesses that are going to become robot to human businesses. I think ours is going to be way far down the road before that happens.
At least 10 years.
Yeah, that's all we need.
They say the singularity is coming, and that's when all this is going to hit the fan. So Brief It Dan says, I can call in soon. Yes, do so.
Sure,
and we will bring you in, and because I want Aunt Ryan to see how that works anyway. So now let's move on to the older folks.
Middle age.
Yeah. Well,
or you want me to go right to the old folks?
Let's do a little bit on middle age because we're going to run out of time, and then go right to the old folks.
All right, you got it. So I'll go quicker on this one. So once you're in middle age, the things that you could get away with when you're younger start to disappear, right? Going to eat the fast food and, drinking soda and some of those things that don't really bother you that much. All of a sudden you start feeling sluggish. You start putting weight on. You start getting headaches. There's a lot of intestinal conditions or GI conditions that come about in people's 30s, 40s, and 50s that are, I've been doing this the same way my whole life. Why am I all of a sudden getting this? And so that compounding effect really shows up in middle age. And so that's where, if you haven't made those changes, it's really, really important. It's really important. And not just because of longevity, because that is clear. If you're interested in living a long life, it's important, but also because the quality of your life. What kind of quality do you want in your life, and what are you willing to sacrifice, or what are you willing? I shouldn't say sacrifice.
What changes are you willing to make?
Yeah, because the thing is, we look at these things as depriving ourselves when the reality is we're just translating them. We're shifting them into different activities.
I mean, and here's the thing, like with sodas, for example.
Right.
I mean, a Coca-Cola, right? I almost never drink a soda. I don't keep them here. I don't buy them. But if I'm traveling or I'm at a party or something or whatever, I might have a Coca-Cola, and then it tastes great.
That's right.
Because I haven't had it. I haven't had one for 6 months, right?
That's right.
And that thing just tastes. I just savor it, right? And so that's the way I look at it. Is if you take something out, like the glazed donuts, if you don't eat one for 2 or 3 years, then all of a sudden you're at some party or something, and they have some really great glazed donuts, and you have one, it's going to be out of this world.
I'm a huge supporter. Right? Look, there's a lot of healthcare practitioners that are very extreme. I am a huge supporter of having a donut once in a while, having a soda once in a while, very, very rarely. But I agree with you. I think that, when that's that process of stepping out, seeing the big picture, and then enjoying the moment. Sometimes you just want to, have a piece of birthday cake at a birthday party, and you really want to savor it and enjoy it. But when you're just shoveling it and it becomes like a nightly routine, and it's just a habit, then that's where we want to make the adjustment. So.
Okay. So, and here's one more question here. Sure. A friend is pretty wealthy, so maybe he can fly in anything to get him to stop drinking and complaining. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Have him come on in, and Thurmont's a beautiful little town. He can stay up here, and then it's just a short little road trip down to Holistic Health. And absolutely, we'll make that happen. Maybe we'll shoot some videos of him getting this treatment. Have him send an email to me, news@frederick.com, and we'll figure all this out. Soda once in a while, more like maybe once in a while, not have a soda. No, Durr is still a young guy.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
he eats the steaks, the thick steaks, and all the, all the good stuff. But he's still young, and he can get away with some of that. Okay, so let's march up. Let's say we're over 70 years age. Over 70.
So now once you're over 70, the most important thing is balance and movement. Because at that point, physically, you want, not only is that going to help your physical body, but it's going to help your mind too. Getting moving, getting oxygen into your lungs, getting it up into your brain. That's going to help things like, memory loss. It's going to keep your mind sharp, but it's also going to keep your body moving. And this is where the holistic view comes into play. It's not one or the other. You don't just do crossword puzzles, or take a walk every day. Often those things are both helping, which is the beautiful thing, right? But, movement every day, doing things for balance and mobility, flexibility. Those are things that are very underutilized. We often see people, I'm going to exercise every day. I'm going to go to the water aerobics class, or I'm going to, But doing things for flexibility and doing things for balance are really valuable when you get into that older years.
I've heard people say, my grandmother told me when I was a little tyke, that walking is a great exercise. And then somebody else told me that walk on uneven surfaces. Like when I walk around here, I walk all around the grassy areas and so on and so forth, and up and down hills and things like that. I said, don't walk on the sidewalk, on just the hard, even surface the whole time. What's the difference between that? And was that good advice?
Great advice. So it's great advice unless you already have a balance issue, because you don't want to fall. You don't want to hurt yourself, because when you hurt yourself and put yourself out of commission. So again, good, better, best, right?
Yeah.
You'd rather walk than not walk, even if it's on a smooth surface. And if you're nervous about walking on an uneven surface, walk on the sidewalk, right? Because moving is better than not moving.
Gotcha.
When you get to the uneven surfaces, what you're doing is you're working on all the stabilizer muscles throughout your legs, your core, your hips, because your foot just kind of shifts just a little bit, right? It just gives that little bit of movement that make you control your balance. It makes you control, and it activates other little muscles, as opposed to the exact same muscles that you're using when you walk step, step, step on the sidewalk.
Gotcha.
And so it's really valuable advice. When I run, I often run on the grass and then go back to the sidewalk and then go to the grass and then go back to the sidewalk. It's a very different experience. It's very, really important.
Fantastic. Okay, let's see. Okay, so you're talking about movement and things like that. Like if you're older, maybe like I have a standing desk. And so I'll work at the standing desk for a while, and then I'll go for a little walk, and then maybe I'll sit down and watch a YouTube video in my zero gravity chair, whatever you call them. And then I'll get up again and then walk in and stand. And so I try to be moving around all day. So that's what you're talking about with movement. Don't be sedentary.
Absolutely. 100%. You get stuck in front of the TV for too long, and it's hard to get up. Right. And so, and at all jobs, so many jobs are going remote now. So many people are working at a desk, at a computer now. I mean, the world is really computers. On my days, my office days, I'm sitting in front of a computer all day long. And so what do? You have to break that day up. You have to get your body moving. You have to keep activating those muscles, activating your lungs for sure.
So Durr says, and we're going to bring Brianna here in a minute. Durr says, the only time I have balance issue is after too many drinks at a watch event at Little Treasury Jewelers.
I love this guy.
Steve puts on some amazing parties over there in Gambrels, Maryland. Let's bring the lovely lady Brianna in to the show. Can you say something? Make sure we can hear you.
Hello.
Okay. Hello. All right. So Brianna is in the house, and her brand is Bree Fit Dance, and she's into fitness and dance. And so
beautiful.
What is your question?
I'm really interested in doing the acupuncture. I've never done before, but I think it will really heal some pain that I have.
So where do you have pain?
Like my stomach, sometimes my back, like lower back pain. So I just want to get rid of it for forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to make an appointment.
So what we need to do, we need to figure something out here. Maybe we could do almost like a reality TV show where we mic you up, mic her up, and where you go through your whole routine.
Sure.
Would that be something fun to do?
You're gonna have to get permission from Brianna over here.
Would you be a guinea pig for something like that?
Yeah. I mean, okay, I don't want to get hurt,
No. Yeah, no. It's
no harm.
Acupuncture is actually the least risky of all the medical professions by, statistically, when it comes to number of malpractice suits. It's the least-ish of an issue. So you're super safe. Nothing to worry about. You're all good. You're in good hands.
Okay, great.
and we've worked on many dancers over the years, dancers that own studios, dancers that work at studios, students of those dancers. You're doing an incredible you're doing incredible work as a dancer, and you're putting a lot of, and your body is your vessel. I mean, that's your castle. You need it, and it's important. You're putting a lot of strain on it, and keeping that thing healthy is really valuable, making sure that you have the ability to continue to dance into your later years is super valuable. It's fantastic exercise. It's great for the mind. It's we're big supporters. So I love what you're doing.
Now she mainly does like hoop dance and belly dancing and all. So she doesn't do a lot of the jumping and all that, the impact, high impact. So she might not have as many problems with that. Brianna, by the way, has also been learning how to edit with Final Cut Pro and produce her own videos. She creates her own music tracks with Logic, so she doesn't have any copyright issues. So she's really diving into the content creation and that side of
it's really
things.
fun.
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
Good skills.
You see she even has a mic there. She's got it all set up, all going on.
That's
all
great.
right, any other questions for the good doctor?
No, but I really want to do that, make an appointment and do a video about it and like help out, people out there.
Yeah, that's great. It's beautiful.
And spread knowledge.
Maybe Craig will get that set up, in the meantime.
We'll see what we can do.
For anybody that is, if you're interested in starting, the sooner you can start, the better with any of these kinds of things. So, it's very easy. We do all of your we check your insurance for you. We make sure that we give you a clear picture of what to expect. And then things like back pain and, abdominal pain or GI issues are two of our specialties. If you go to our website, you'll see the 9 kind of specialties that our staff typically will treat and see a lot of. And those are 2 things that fall right into our wheelhouse. So, happy to help however we can.
So Durr says the only pain in Bree's life is the men's hearts she breaks worldwide because they can't reach her level. Well, there you go.
I can be picky, but
that's she's
might as well.
There you go. All right, and by the way, Bree is into Bitcoin too. She actually gets paid Bitcoin. She produces
my music
videos for people, and they pay her in Bitcoin.
That's awesome.
So she's earned a bunch of Bitcoin. And then
most
of course
of them are from like altcoins. Altcoins are like other cryptocurrencies. And they're always like, why don't you want to get paid in this altcoin? I'm like, I just don't think it has a future. So I think Bitcoin is the future.
So the altcoiners pay her to do a video and they pay her in Bitcoin. That's great. That's great. All right. Well, thanks for coming in. I'm going to let you go.
Thank you.
Any other question before we let you go?
No, that is it. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in. So see, that's sort of like the green room, right? So when you have guests line up, right, they would all appear there, and then you can click and add them, when you need to.
Incredible. That's great.
So, so there you go. My insurance, Durr says, my insurance is about, oh geez, he's going to make some political comments. Okay. We'll leave that out of it for now. Let's see. We've got 4 minutes left. To wrap up, let's go through all your contact information. First of all, let's show them that you can be found on Frederick.com. Frederick.com, folks. There you go. And we can go ahead and show this again. The website is hhamd.com, and you can see a phone number there, 301-620-1414, and then he's got the Boonesboro number there also. So anything else to wrap up? Anything you think that we haven't covered?
The only thing I would tell people is if you're interested, but you kind of aren't sure and you want to just see what we're doing, follow us on Facebook at HHA Frederick or HHA Boonesboro. Check out our Instagram page at HHA Frederick or HHA Boonesboro. And, and there's a number of videos that we've done on YouTube of just where I'm interviewing someone in either our field or a related field about a particular condition that we might treat. We have a dermatology one, we have an autoimmune condition one, we have one on chronic pain, we have one on movement therapy. So there's I don't know, maybe 12 or 15 different videos that you can go to and just get a better feel for kind of what we're talking about. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to us and happy to answer.
So Boozer's asking if it can help with my mental problems, with Craig's mental problems. I don't think so. Maybe. Well, I think if you're in good health, you're also mentally
Absolutely
in better health. I think bad health can lead to a lot of issues. You know,
many studies on the link between one's outlook on life and how they feel physically, and so it's incredibly important to work on both.
On that note, I think we will wrap it up. I'm going to cut to the time check, and we're just a couple of minutes before 6 o'clock. So I want to thank everybody for coming in, and see, we've got a comment. Notice when they comment from Facebook, it shows up. It shows up, tells you it's from Facebook. Okay. There's a guy that raised pigeons in Boonesboro.
I heard about him, but I never met him.
There you go. And Derek never wants the shows to end. He says, wait, Craig. Well, we're going to have to end this one. But thank you all for tuning in and participating. And hey, take your health seriously, folks. Especially, we should know this after what we've gone through here in the last couple of years. It should be job one. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Take care.